Speaking of.
Go, Ruskin.
All right, we're back for Jazzketball Mock Draft 2.0, directly after the Bradley Beal trade that has supposedly gone down. They're still looking for a place for Chris Paul. We were going to do randomized order, but I think since Ruskin is a Raptors fan, he deserves to pick the Raptors pick, right? So how do we figure that out? Ruskin, Dallin, and Kevin, unmute yourself on Spaces. How do you guys want to figure that out? What is the Raptors pick? 13th?
It's 13, but I'll pick wherever.
No, bro. You're picking because we're all three Jazz fans, so one of us is gonna get a Jazz pick.
We need you to pass your judgment.
Yeah, you at least deserve your team's pick.
So I'd have to pick first then. If there's four of us.
Okay, so you're first.
5, 9, 13.
You're first.
You're getting whippy, huh?
That's what you think.
If we do Serpentine, that'll give him 9 too. If he goes 1.
Oh.
Yeah, but then I won't get 13.
Yeah, we could do Snake. Yeah, let's just we'll do regular so that he gets 13. Okay. So he'll go first. Kevin or Dallin, do you guys want to go second or third?
I'll go third.
Okay.
I'll take 2. Are you going fourth then?
I'll go fourth.
I can go fourth. I don't care. Whatever you want.
Okay, I'll go 2. You go 4.
I just want 1 Jazz pick. That's all.
Okay.
I don't think I get 1 at 4, but that's okay.
All right, let's freaking go, baby. So give us your pick and just a little bit why you picked it. This first one on the clock, San Antonio Spurs. Ruskin, you got it.
Well, I mean, consensus, of course, is Victor Wembanyama. There's not really much reason to explain that pick. Just a generational talent. We haven't had a prospect this hyped really since LeBron. He's really going to fit what San Antonio does on the court, off the court. They've got a history of working, getting the most out of players from France with Tony Parker and Boris Diaw. So I think that culturally and game plan wise, he's a fit, and Pop's going to get the most out of him.
Yeah, and Kevin, why don't you share your trade idea with the Chris Paul scenario?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about it on Twitter, and I was just looking at some teams that have the money to absorb. What's his name? What's Ayton?
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre's contract, because they don't have any assets to throw with Ayton, so whoever takes him is going to have to just eat his contract. And so, in my opinion, it's going to have to be a pretty one-sided trade. I could see San Antonio throwing a late, like a first round or a couple seconds or something. I don't think there's or maybe some low-end players to help them fill out their roster. I just think that San Antonio would be a great trade partner for them. But if they could bring Ayton over and bring CP3, which I think the thought of putting CP3 and Pop together, he has one of the few offenses left in the league that really truly benefits from a pass first point guard. Everyone seems to be going to this hybrid, guard position, but Pop still runs a point first offense, or he does. I think it would be amazing. And I was just thinking, God, they get Wemby, Ayton, and CP3 in the offseason with what they have already. If they don't have to give up much to do that, that could be a really dangerous team. Yeah. I mean, we could spend a whole podcast just talking about how dangerous that team could be.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it till you said that. And thinking about CP3 and Pop with Wemby, it'd be pretty fun to see. So let's go second pick. I'm going to go second pick. And I just saw a tweet from Woj that the Charlotte Hornets are bringing back Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson for a second workout, which is interesting because it means that they don't, well, to me, they don't really know, but also Michael Jordan is going to be at this second workout, and he just sold the team. So I've been pretty pretty confident that they're going to pick Scoot Henderson, even though they have LaMelo Ball. I just think that the way that he's been hyped up and talked about, that he's a generational player as well, I can just see him fitting in with the Charlotte Hornets. And I still think Michael Jordan's going to have some type of say. And to me, that just makes sense. The Jordan brand on Scoot Henderson, me and Down have talked about it. So number 2, I'm taking Scoot Henderson to Charlotte.
No, I have a quick question. I haven't had a chance to look into like the information on him still on the team. Is he staying with the team in any capacity, or is he just done?
He's done from what I see. Like, matter of fact, I was really surprised when Jordan said he was going to be at the workout. My guess is because the sale hasn't been finalized, but he's supposed to be turning over. He's not even going to stay on as a consultant. He's supposed to be like washing his hand and moving on, kind of thing. From what I read, CBS Sports put a report out on it. So I don't know how accurate that is.
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering, since he's going to be there, if he was staying on as, somebody in the front office, or if he was just going to go play golf now.
I thought I read somewhere that he was just selling his majority of it.
He's all out. He's selling everything.
Yeah, because he sold it for $3 million, right?
Consultant or anything.
I mean, he might, but I think he wants out of the business. I think he's ready to do something else.
Ready to drink beers and smoke cigars.
Yep.
All right.
Doing Twitter battles with Charles Barkley.
Yep.
Dallin, you're up. Number 3. Here's your big board. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
I mean, Brandon Miller's still at, ranked 2 on ESPN. So,
and we got Portland here.
Yeah, the real question is if they're going to trade Damian or what they're doing.
Or they're going to trade the pick for somebody. If everybody's just keeping their picks, that's how we're doing this. I would go Brandon Miller.
Boom. Why?
Because he feels a need, and really, I think he is the BPA on the board after Scoot's gone and Wimby, obviously. Yeah.
I think he makes good sense for them, because I think he is the most ready to fit into their offense the way his game is built. I think he's most ready to fit into what they need him to do with their offense. And plus, he's not a 6'2" guard. So they need some height in that to run that offense efficiently. So I think he's a good fit.
Yeah, and just to run off that, I think he's one of the more ready players to play in the league.
Yeah, is your thought if they get Brandon Miller that Damian Lillard, they're going to keep Damian Lillard with him and give it a run?
Yes. The reason why he's also perfect is...
You're muted.
The reason why he's a perfect fit is because Damian Lillard will keep the pressure off of him and not have to rely on him being a scoring punch as much.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bigger body. He's 6'8". I think I've seen comparisons of like Paul George. I think I don't know if he's defensively Paul George, but playmaking, I think it makes sense too. So, okay, Brandon Miller, 3rd. We are going over to Kevin for the 4th pick of the dumpster fire of the NBA, Houston Rockets. Pick wisely.
To me, if I assume that those first 3 players go 1, 2, 3, I don't know if it's in that order, but I expect them to go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I honestly truly think that this is going to be one of the toughest picks in the NBA, because I do see Houston going several different ways. I really do think they make a really hard run at Harden. And if they do, I don't know that Amen makes the best fit there. And so I'm kind of torn between Jace and Cam, really, for them. I think both of those would be really strong.
You talking Jarris Walker?
sorry, Jarris. Did I say Jay? Sorry, Jarris Walker
Okay.
and Cam Whitmore. I've been watching a lot of film on Cam, and oh my gosh, that kid is better than anything they have on their roster. So I think I'm going to go with Cam Whitmore.
Cam Whitmore.
I really like Cam Whitmore next to Jabari Smith, playing next to Harden. This is all assuming that they want Harden. If they don't get Harden, then Amen, I think, makes the best sense. But I think they're going to land Harden. So I really like Cam Whitmore. And then I think you put Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, and Tate, and you see which one of them can back up small forward and shooting guard. You got a bunch of 6'4" guys that like to run and shoot. I just love Cam. I think Cam's the pick here. I know it's crazy. They may not do that, but I think it's a really good fit for them. And I think Detroit's going to be pissed because I think Detroit wants Cam.
Yeah, I actually think that's a really good pick for Houston. The way that they run their organization, I don't know that they'd make it, but Cam's one that doesn't need the ball in his hand. And with Jalen Green there, I think it makes a lot of sense for Houston to do that. I know the consensus on most draft boards is just Almond's next, right? Which I know, I don't know. You kind of hate to see players go to Houston because it's like you just feel like they suck so bad.
The thing with Houston is they don't have another pick for 3 years after this. They don't have a first-round pick next year or the year after that. So they need a player who isn't a project, who's going to hit. And I love Amen, and I think he's going to hit. I just don't think he's an instant hit. And if they want to bring Harden in, I think Cam is the most surefire. Bring him on the team. Going to be a good run for your money if Wemby wasn't out there, rookie of the year kind of candidate.
So do you feel like Cam is more of a franchise player than Thompson or Jarris Walker?
Next year, yes. 3-4 years from now, I don't know. I think Amen is a project. He has to shoot the ball. If he can't transition to shoot the ball, he could be nothing better than a backup and a defensive specialist.
Yeah.
And I love Jarris Walker, but I also love Jabari Smith Jr. I think Jabari Smith Jr. is a great player, and I think if Houston drafts him, you're splitting time between those two. So I just think Cam fits better with the team personally, even though I really do like Jarris a lot. I just think Cam's the better fit personally.
Yeah.
And that's just in my opinion.
I agree with you. I think Almond's probably going to go there still, but yeah, I think that's a good pick for Houston if they end up going that route.
If they're smart.
If they're smart, which they're not.
I just don't know how. I mean, I understand you want a best draft, best available player. I just don't know how Almond fits on their team if they bring Harden in.
Yeah.
I just don't get it, especially when you know you're not going to draft in the first round in the next 2 years.
Sure.
You need to bring in someone who is going to be a high-impact player. Just my opinion.
All right, moving on the clock. Sorry, go ahead, Ruskin.
I was just saying, I've been seeing reports today that Houston is going to go hard after Fred VanVleet if they can't land Harden. Like they're planning on knowing before the draft, but they're going to go after VanVleet pretty hard if they can't get Harden.
Which only makes more sense for Cam Whitmore.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple reports out there that teams really aren't 100% sold that Amen's a lead guard. Like,
I don't know that either him or I don't know that the Thompson twins are really point guards in the NBA. Honestly, I think they would be better in a.
They're
uber athletic wings.
They don't have.
Yeah.
It's tough. They dominated a league that is elite high school play at best. I don't even think it's college level.
Yeah. Well, and like it would be awesome if they could be a point guard, but 6'7", I just see him as slashers more. Someone that's like super athletic. So okay, so on the clock now, we're going to Detroit Pistons, 5th pick. Ruskin's making this pick. They need a point guard. They need a power forward. And currently they've got our ex-Jazzman Bojan over there. Cade Cunningham should be coming back this year. Jaden Ivey. So, Ruskin, who are you taking at the 5th spot?
as much as I'd love to be the one to take Grady Dick, I'm gonna take Jarris Walker.
Jarris Walker. The Almond brothers are falling.
I mean, bring on the jokes about Detroit and their big men, but I think that Walker is underrated in the sense that even though he's a little undersized for the 4, his defensive switchability really will bring a lot to them. And with the evolution or whatever of Jalen Duran too, I think that he'll complement his style really nicely. He's a playmaker. I mean, he can make some passes as a big man. His offensive game is a little rough right now. But I mean, it's not broken to the point where he can't fix it or can't like get it on track. And I mean, he could even be an average 3-point shooter. Being 6'7", does give me some pause, but I mean, he's a physical dude. Like, he's strong. Like, he's not going to get bullied on the post.
Yeah, so just look at this picture of him on the screen. It's
and then that was when he was at IMG. Like, that's not even Houston.
Yeah,
imagine switchability with that team. With Jalen,
I love that pick. I love him. I love him in Detroit. If you can't have Cam, I love him because when Bogey's not in the game, he can be in the game as a small forward. When Bagley's not in the game, he can be a power forward. Like, I love that pick. I think you're spot on there.
Yeah. And last mock draft, when me and Down did it, I had him fall into the Utah Jazz, which would be freaking amazing. If you imagine him at the power forward and move Lowry over to the 3, that'd be crazy. But okay, let's go to the next one, which is it's my pick, right? Am I next? Yeah,
I don't know
because I picked second.
Yes.
So on the clock, we're going with the Orlando Magic. They are needing a point guard, shooting forward, power forward, pretty much everything. Really, I think that I like their current roster as it is with Paulo, and then you've got Jalen Suggs. I actually like as their point guard. I think he'll eventually come into his own. I know Cole Anthony was running point guard, but I think Jalen Suggs is eventually going to be their point guard. I think that they're going to be able to make the playoffs next year if they can get someone in this draft. And for me, you got to go with Almond Thompson. I think looking at the big board, the type of player that he is and can be, I think he's kind of a combo guard. Like you guys were saying, if he doesn't fit in at point guard with Jalen Suggs, or you run like a 2-point guard with Jalen Suggs, that would be a mean backcourt and then you got Paulo in the front court. I think Jalen Suggs fits in, or Almond Thompson fits in really nice with these guys. And there's been talks that they're trading their picks. I don't think they would trade them if they knew they could get Almond. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I mean, they're another team that has been linked to Fred VanVleet because the guy in charge there was with Toronto when we signed VanVleet.
Yeah.
So he loves VanVleet. So I mean, I think depending on what they do, what goes there. Like, I agree with what you were saying about Suggs. Fultz, I like Fultz. I just don't know how much longer they're going to be, relying on him to be their number one guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that what you're saying is pretty spot on. My only thing would be is like they would if they go with Almond here, they would have to get a shooter. Because they're going to be so congested down in the paint with all those guys who all they do is like drive.
Yeah.
And maybe go with Fred, go get Fred and have him kind of mentor Almond.
Yeah, if you could get Fred and Almond, that adds a little bit of more like of a defensive minded to their team, which I think is what they're lacking.
Can I tell you, I would not be surprised to see them reach for Dick here.
No, I mean, yeah.
I'm like, Dick is
They like a lot of
exactly
Dick.
he's what their team's missing.
Dude, if Grady Dick went 6, that would be perfect for the Jazz. Because then
I
that
mean, it
leaves you
would
way
be.
more options.
It would be.
I mean,
I think he only goes here if they're afraid he goes before 11. Because Grady Dick has got to be their number one target almost. Like, he's the guy that completes their team. Like, can you imagine, like, with Franz Wagner and Grady Dick both being able to just sit on the edge and drop bombs like nobody's business?
Yeah.
With how athletic Suggs is, and Fultz, and Bonchero, and even how Wendell Carter Jr. can run up and down the floor. Like, one more really good floor spacer, and we're talking about a team that's looking at the bubble, I think. So I'm not saying they take Dick here, but I bet they think long and hard about it if they don't think Dick is there at 11.
That's a really good point, because if you add in a lethal shooter to that team, I mean, they could be really lethal offensively.
And there's a lot of talk right now about Dick going to Dallas at 10.
Yeah, they need him too. It would be hard with the Thompson twins. You still got Taylor Hendricks on the board. I don't think they're going to take Anthony Black that high.
I think the other thing that's tough for Orlando is I just wonder if they're just getting a little tired of projects. Yeah. I wonder if they just want a surefire player. Like, you look at Suggs, you look at, Jonathan Isaac, you look at some of these players they've drafted over the last 4 or 5 years. They've all been, great upside, high ceiling. Let's see how they turn out. I think Almond's the right pick here, but I think that there's going to be some fighting inside. Yeah. I think they're going to be arguing.
Orlando is in the best position they've been in for a really long time, probably since they had Shaq. So I think with the current lineup that they have, if they can keep that core together and just kind of add pieces, I think they've got something going. So I think Almond's not going to fall further than that. But I mean, if they were to take Grady Dick, that basically with this mock draft means Almond's all the way at 7. So on the clock is
I could see Utah moving up to 7 to take Black, and then moving back to 9.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Black's going to go before 9th. But so on the clock is Indiana Pacers with the 7th pick. We're going over to who's next? Sorry, who picked?
This is Dallin.
Yeah,
Dallin.
Good luck,
okay,
Dallin.
So they need a point guard and a center. They've got Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, T.J. McConnell, Mathurin, Tyus Halliburton. They've got a lot. Well, not a lot.
They don't need a point guard. I don't know why it's point guard severe. Like, they've got a franchise point guard.
Yeah, so even the last one, you can see here, this is what Fanspo's spitting out, that this is what they need. So I'm just reading it. But yeah, I don't think they need a point guard either, with Halliburton and then McConnell as your backup. So Dallin, who you picking for the Indiana Pacers here at the 7th pick?
So they're really sad that they missed out on Cam Whitmore and Jarris Walker. So now they're deciding between Asar, Taylor Hendricks, and Grady Dick. And if I am them, I'm going to go with... do they need shooting?
They got Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's would be their shooting guard, but he's either hot or cold,
I'm gonna go say they're gonna need more size and shooting, so let's go Taylor Hendricks.
Yeah. Taylor Hendricks, baby.
I like it.
Yeah. Defend your pick.
Defend my pick. Well, this is the right fit for him as far as they need shooting and size. And he could be plugged into a big ball 3 or a 4 and small ball 5. So when Miles Turner needs to come off the floor, he could definitely play the backup 5. And I could see him starting right alongside Miles Turner.
Yeah, I think Taylor Hendricks is a awesome pick for them. I know there's been reports too that they're high on Taylor Hendricks. He is a great defender, basically two-way, can shoot the three, space the floor. I think this is an awesome pick for Indiana, and I think they're ecstatic if they end up getting him.
I think it just gives, if they take Hendricks, it gives them a lot more flexibility. I love Miles Turner, but he has got to be like one of the top 5 slowest people in the NBA. And I think that Taylor Hendricks is like the antithesis of that, like very high energy, like always move around. Like he can guard guards.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really going to open up stuff for the rest of their offense, whether it be opening up the paint for Mathurin and Halliburton to drive, take some of the pressure off of Buddy Hield, like you're saying, like if he's on a cold night, like he's going to be able to, pop some threes too. So yeah, I think Hendricks, I think that's the ideal pick for Indiana if they keep the pick.
Yeah. So if they do take Hendricks, do you guys think that they try to move Miles Turner, or they're going to pair the two together?
Pair the two together.
Yeah. I mean, Hendricks strengthens Turner, so I don't know why you want to get rid of Turner, because then they don't really have.
That's all. That was their issue last year. The Pacers' problem, like they didn't have another floor spacing big, and so everybody just doubled down on Turner. And with Hendricks coming in and being able to help space that floor more, it's just going to open up the middle for Turner, and I think he's going to have a field day down there. I think this pick's going to cost them a lot of money with Turner, in all honesty, because he's going to have a killer year next year if they get Taylor Hendricks, in my opinion.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree with you guys. So on to the 8th pick. We're going to good old Kevin with the Washington Wizards, which this pick, I thought, this could really kill the Jazz and what they're wanting to do, depending on who they pick. They just moved Bradley Beal. They're getting Chris Paul in, which reports are saying that Chris Paul they're trying to get a third team in on the deal before it's finalized, so Chris Paul can actually go to a contender. Kyle Kuzma just barely opted out of his team option, so it doesn't seem like he's going to be there. Kevin, who are you taking here? Because honestly, they're in a rebuild. They just need about everything.
if this deal does not change, if it stays the way it is now,
and Chris Paul stays,
Chris Paul will stay, because in order for them to make this deal, he has to change his buyout to just over $25 million, which is only $5 million under what they owe him anyways.
But does Bradley Beal have any say in the no trade clause on where Chris Paul were to go if a third team comes in? He just says, "Yeah, I want to go to this team."
No. Yeah, so the only reason they're bringing a third team in is if they bring a third team in to help balance the money, then they don't have to increase Chris Paul's buyout, and then he'll probably be a free agent. If they have to increase his buyout to just $4 million under what he's owned, there's no reason to buy him out. Why pay his entire salary for the year if, just keep him? So that's why they're trying to bring a third team in, according to what I read from a report. I forget who reported it. I think it was I don't remember. But so I think they'll have a third team get here. I think they'll get the money done. With that said, I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, Asur would be great. Anthony Black would be great. Grady Dick would be great. Hell, Derek Lively would be great for them, because they have no center whatsoever. Like,
yeah, Porzingis is definitely not a center.
So, I mean,
who knows?
How do I make this pick? How do I make this pick completely from a Washington standpoint and not within my Jazz heart? And without letting it judge me at all.
Well, because you don't have the next pick, I do. So
what I do determines what you do, and you know that.
Wait, don't I have the next pick?
Yes, sorry, you do have. Sorry, Ruskin.
Yeah, so now who holds all the cards? Yeah,
Exactly. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, he's not even a Jazz fan, so there you go.
Hey, I'm up to trade it. I'm open to negotiation.
He's open to trading it to Toronto.
But then I'd pick it again at 13. So
Yeah, right.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna be crazy just because. I mean, they're rebuilding, so maybe they don't care. Maybe they want to just tank. I'm leaning toward Dick because they have no shooter on their whole damn team anymore.
Kispert's all right, but
who else? Kyle's gone. Like, who else is going to shoot the ball on their team?
Yeah.
DeLon Wright.
But they may be just totally fine with being a horrible team next year and just want to take the most upside. So I'm going to take Asar. I think they're okay with that. I think you have to take the best possible player. You're not building a championship team with the trade you just made, so you're going to take the player with the highest ceiling. I think Asar has the highest ceiling left, so Asar it is.
Dude, you had me scared there. If you were going to pick Grady Dick, I was like, on a rebuild, you're going to rebuild around Grady Dick? That is ballsy.
He got a lot of dick in his mouth, so.
Balls with the dick.
I'm just thinking, like, what do they need to make their team better? But they don't need to be better right now, so they need the most upside. So, Asar it is.
Yeah, I think Asar. I think he's a good pick because he's more like a playmaker, two-way player.
Yep.
And if he ends up being as good or better than his brother or like a franchise player, I think that's a good, solid place to start as Azar.
Plus, part of me would love to see the Jazz front office try to decide between Asar and Anthony Black.
Now they get to choose Dick.
Yep.
All right, well, since the Jazz pick's coming up, I gotta put on my light, and I'm throwing on the Lowry marketing wig, baby. Let's go!
Gosh.
Excuse
are
me.
you doing that? Are you doing that for good luck or something? Are you like hoping that
I'm doing this for pure entertainment value for our watchers.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And yeah, maybe a little bit of good luck. Okay, so on the clock, we've got the Utah Jazz. Anthony Black still on the board. I know he's been linked to the Jazz for a while, or on a lot of mock drafts. And we've got Ruskin, the only non-Jazz fan on here. I think that this is actually pretty fitting that a non-Jazz player is taking the most valuable pick this year. I got to turn that light off or I'm going to have a seizure. So Ruskin, who you taking, man? There are a lot of good names still up on this board.
So, I mean, yeah, like you said, I can be completely unbiased here. So, I mean, looking at who's on the board, I'm just gonna come out and say Dick is not the pick.
As sad as that makes me, because it would be fun to say Dick a lot while watching the Jazz game.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. I think it would have to be Anthony Black. I think Black is, I mean, I know on here it has him listed as shooting guard. I mean, he played point guard at Arkansas. I think his biggest issue is his outside shooting, but I mean, he's a playmaking guard. I would say he's probably got highest basketball IQ, top 3 highest basketball IQ in the draft. He can distribute from the top of the key, or from the top of the set. He can drive and dish. I mean, he's athletic. I was listening to a Raptors podcast and they were talking about him. He's got like a very strong base. Like, he's not somebody who's going to get bullied or pushed around. I think the Jazz would need that in the West. I mean, there's a lot of big dudes. Like, I feel like the West plays a little bit different style than the East. And I think Black would be a good fit. He just seems like a Danny Ainge player.
Yeah, imagining him, I think it's a great pick. I would be extremely happy if we get Anthony Black here because I've had thoughts that Washington's going to take him. Having him at the point on defense with the length, the point of the attack, and you got Walker and Lowry behind him, Ochai on one of the wings. I mean, you add one more good defender in there, and we could be a really good team that would be able to switch off on everything. I've discussed possibly Cason Wallace. I taken Cason Wallace here. I don't know that I would, but to me, there's not very many good point guard, or they're probably the two top point guards, and then there's more wings. So with the Jazz having the 16th and 28th, I feel like taking a guard here, you can probably get a similar player with the 16th or 28th. So I like
that
it.
Hendricks and Walker off the board.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I love this pick because I think it fits not only what Danny does, but I think it fits what Will wants to do. Is from watching him this last season, I don't think he's going to employ a pass-first point guard offense. I think he's going to employ a very team-friendly, everybody needs to be able to move the ball kind of offense. And so having players that can move the ball and have high basketball IQ and have the height to see around defenders, I think he fits perfect into Will's system. I don't think he needs to be that point guard who's going to go out and get you 8 assists a night. I just think he needs to be that guy in the cog who's going to keep the ball moving, and I think that he's the perfect guy for that. I think Will would be through the roof ecstatic if we got Anthony Black. I don't know that it's going to happen, but I think Will would be ecstatic.
Yeah.
And if you watched Arkansas at all last year, Anthony Black, like Ruskin said, has a high basketball IQ, and he was constantly thinking 2 plays ahead all the time. And you can, like you're saying, he's another player that moves the ball super well, even if it's not him getting the assist, it's the hockey assist, as some would say. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to come in and be a star, but he's just like that perfect selfless player that'll make the right play and add a lot defensively. So I like it. Moving on to Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to make this one quick because if they keep this pick, they're going Grady Dick. They need it. If they keep Kyrie and Luka, Grady Dick.
Are you the 2 or?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Because I thought I was last pick, so I've been eyeing this. So we're going Grady Dick. They need a shooter. It just makes sense. I think that's who they want to. And we're moving on. Dallin, you've got who's next? My computer's starting to move slow. Orlando with the 11th pick. They've already picked Amen Thompson. Who else are you adding to this squad? Jalen Hood, Derek Lively. Well, this is, I mean, you could, if you want me to scroll down so you can make like some really crazy pick. I mean, Bilal Coulibaly's still on here.
Why'd you just say something? You could have just let him slide to 13, but no, you had to bring him.
I don't want him to forget. We need to make this fair.
So the Ringer has them taking Derek Lively. Athletic has them taking Grady Dick, which he's gone now. And so does Jonathan Giovanni at ESPN has them taking Grady Dick. So I'm just going to go with the Ringer and go with Derek Lively.
Derek Lively.
I don't like that pick.
What? Yes, defend yourself, because if I would have had that pick, I probably wouldn't have picked Derek Lively either.
Yeah, not with Wendell Carter Jr. and his breakout year last year. You're going to bring a guy in to take minutes away from him?
Yep.
Are you pulling another Keontae George on us?
Yeah, he is. He just being a jerk.
He is. He's trying to rile us up.
I'm just saying Grady Dick's gone, so they're super disappointed. They really wanted
So
Dick.
you take the best shooter, possibly the best shooter in the draft, in Hawkins.
No, they're going Derek Lively.
I actually could see them taking Coulibaly here. If they got Amen and Coulibaly, that would be pretty
I think they take Hawkins here. I think Hawkins is the pick here.
Unfortunately, I could see, I do see what you're saying with Coulibaly again. They've got that that Toronto mindset, like the long arm, defensive, guard, forward, wing, mindset. So I mean, I think Koulibaly could be in play here.
On the next pick though.
So well,
Just for Toronto.
we'll see. But I mean, to Dallin's point with taking. Sorry, I'm trying to look up something here, and I can't.
I mean,
seem
he's
to
really
find it.
the only true center, like, in this draft. Who I guess you got the kid from the G League.
Well, they're not bringing Jonathan Isaac back, and Wendell Carter could slide over to the 4 pretty easily.
And take minutes away from Bonchero? Yeah, that's a great idea.
Unless you move Bonchero to a 3.
Bonchero could play 3, and Franz Wagner could play shooting guard. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they could make it work.
I don't know if I like that, but that could work. That's a word. That could work. I don't know if I like that. But
and you got to remember, Lively's coming off an injury, too, so we don't know how much he's going to play, right away.
Yeah, just taking a Duke big man, I don't know, man.
They got Bonchero. I mean, they got that cohesiveness. I mean, that Duke camaraderie. I mean, I know they didn't play together, but.
I think it's a great pick for him. I think it's a good fit. I just thought there was better fits out there, but I don't think it's a bad pick.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick, but it's definitely the worst one of the night.
It's not a bad pick. It's not a good pick.
Okay, moving on to Kevin and the Oklahoma City Thunder at 12. They've got a nice point guard in Shea, probably one of the top point guards in the league. Lou Dort, Saric, Josh Giddey. They're getting rookies of the year or in the running of the rookie of the year. Jalen Williams. Who are you picking here, Kevin? What do these guys need? They've got a good young roster. What's going to send them over the top?
So OKC has been so quiet this whole offseason. There's only one player they're talking about, and they're talking about moving up to get him. And to get him at 12 would be a dream come true. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, Toronto, but we're taking Belisle here. Like, this is the guy they want. There's multiple reports saying that they want to move up in front of Utah to take him. So they love this guy. They think he's the fit for them. They like him next. They love this guy. I've got family that live in OKC, and they've been sending me freaking tweets and stuff like that about how hyped they are on this guy. Like, this is the guy they want in the draft, I think. So I think they're going to take some of their assets, and I think unless someone's crazy and drafts him in the top 6, I wouldn't be surprised to see Oklahoma move up to 8 to take him.
Yeah, I think he's been shooting up draft boards as well. I was hoping maybe the Jazz could get him at 16. I don't think he's going to last to the 16th spot. Like, he reminds me of not necessarily Giannis, but just how teams were passing on him. He might be one of those players where we look back and we're like, how did Koulibaly land at 12?
He reminds me of OJ. He reminds me of OG. That's who he reminds me of.
OG. Yeah, he has the same measurements as OG.
Yeah, so I know this broke Ruskin's heart because that's really who he wanted in Toronto.
I'm sorry, but I really don't think Belisle makes it past 12. So if Toronto wants him, they got to move up for it.
I think that's his floor. Yeah.
All right, let's keep it rolling. We've got Ruskin, the only Toronto Raptors fan on this draft cast, making the pick for Toronto Raptors at 13th. Fred VanVleet's probably going to be gone. Who knows if OG and Siakam will be there. Ruskin, who do you want now that your guy Belisle Koulibaly is no longer here, and the Thunder have stolen them from your heart?
They've stolen your thunder.
Well, we'll see. I mean, honestly, in this scenario here, since we're not doing trades and everything, like, as much as I want him, I wouldn't have taken him because, like, we still have OG. And Belisle is, like, OG Junior. So if we have the OG, Like, we don't need OG 2.0. So
he really wanted Derek Lively to fall. That was one that really stung.
hey, if that means we don't have to re-sign Jakob Poeltl, I'll take it. But
You don't like a Utah Ute kid?
I don't like the contract that we'd have to sign him to because he doesn't fix any of our problems, but that's beside the point. Okay, so just going off the way the roster is right now, Van Vliet's gone. Well, probably gone. Gary Trent, more than likely, going to be gone. So we got to look at guard. I know that, like, I've seen people say, like, Kobe Buffkin. I'm not sold on him. Jordan Hawkins, no thanks. Like, he's one-dimensional. He's a shooter. So I think if we're looking for somebody who can run the team, that's probably going to be Case and Wallace.
Thank God.
That's who I was saying.
I almost would say Jalen Hood-Schifino. I'm an Indiana fan, so I watched a lot of Hoosier games.
Yeah.
And I like him, but his outside shooting is too suspect. Case and Wallace brings a lot to the table. He covers a lot of what Van Vliet did, but he's a better defender. He's a better spot-up shooter, a catch and shoot. He can shoot off the – he's a creator. And Fred Van Vliet was not a quick or not a fast point guard. So I think that just brings another element to our offense. It's going to depend on what Darko wants to do with the roster. I mean, it's going to be built around Scotty Barnes as long as Scotty Barnes can keep ascending. But we hired Darko because of his ability to develop players and help them reach their potential. So I think that I would say Case and Wallace in this scenario would probably be the best fit for us.
Yeah, dude. I think Case and Wallace is I would even be okay if the Jazz took him at 9th. I know David Locke's talked about how he's more NBA ready than Anthony Black. If you watch his highlights and mixtapes and whatnot, he's a lot more controlled, especially offensively. So he reminds me of like Marcus Smart and Drew Holiday, kind of mixed, a little bit of Jay Crowder defensively with the big body. He's got a long wingspan too. Like, he's a guard. If you go back and watch his college highlights, like, he's a guard that blocks shots on the perimeter. And I think with his wingspan, you know, it's a little deceiving that he can get out there and block those. So I think if you're needing a point guard, this is, and Anthony Black's not there, this is the next best point guard in the draft.
Just to play devil's advocate, Jonathan, Giovanni, and the Athletic and Ringer, they all have them taking Jalen Hood-Schifino, but I don't know if Case and Wallace is on the board at that point. But
which would have been the better pick?
I wouldn't be mad. And like I said, like, I'm an Indiana fan. I watched any Hoosiers game that was on TV. So like, I love Jalen Hood-Schifino, but I think that there's just a little bit too many like ifs about his game when it comes to like fixing the deficiencies in our offense right now. Like, we didn't have any outside shooting last season, and we need someone who can knock down those threes. And
see, that's your problem, is you've seen too much tape on JHS. If you've seen equally that much tape on Case and Wallace, I think you would have a different tune. Like, Case, a lot of people don't. I've been watching a ton of Case and Wallace tape because I want to know why people think he's so great, and I just don't see it. In the first part of the season, he wasn't even the lead guard on their team. He was the off guard. He didn't become the lead guard until, and I can't remember his name, went down with an ankle injury. And then he became the lead guard. And if you see, he doesn't handle the ball as well when he's the lead guard that he does when he plays off the ball. And I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't think his ceiling is as high as everyone thinks, but I've been wrong before. I didn't think Walker was going to be as good as he is. So don't take my advice. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to basketball.
And that's the exact same thing that happened with Hood-Schifino. He was an off guard until Xavier Johnson got hurt. Xavier Johnson came back, then he shut it down for the season so he could come back next year. But Jalen's more of like a slasher. Like, he's not a true point guard. He's a guard. Yeah. So the fact that they have him listed as point guard is surprising. But I think he's gonna see the court sooner than most of the other one and dones, just because of his makeup.
I agree. I agree he's more NBA ready right now. I just don't think his ceiling is as high as people think it is. That's my only thing. I think he is a backup point guard, backup off ball guard. I see him like kind of like how we're dealing, kind of like a Jordan Clarkson kind of player who, on a bad team can be a premier player, but on a good team, he's a six man.
That's okay. We're gonna trade Pascal to Portland for number 2 anyway. So. Or three, sorry.
Get her done.
All right, so let's do a quick recap because this is the last pick in the lottery. We've got Victor to Spurs. Scoot goes to the Hornets. Brandon Miller, Portland. Cam Whitmore to Houston. Detroit gets Jarris Walker. Almond Thompson to Orlando Magic. Taylor Hendricks goes to Indiana Pacers. Azor Thompson is taken by the Washington Wizards. The Jazz get Anthony Black, baby. Grady Dick is going to be a dick with Luka and Kyrie. Derek Lively goes to Orlando for a big man. Koulibaly is taken and stolen away from the Toronto Raptors in Oklahoma City. And the Raptors pick up Cason Wallace. Kevin would not agree that he's a good player, but I disagree. And I think he is a great pick for the Toronto Raptors. So now we've got.
I think he's going to be a good player. I just don't think he's lottery. I think there's better players out there. Yeah, that's all. But I'm probably wrong.
That's fair. So we're going to the New Orleans Pelicans, which there's been talks of Zion getting traded away, which if they could offload him and pick up another good player, I think that would help them tremendously. Brandon Ingram obviously needs to stay healthy. Valanciunas is a solid center in the league, and I think they're just a few pieces away. They don't really CJ's their point guard, so I don't think they need a point guard. I think they need someone.
It's a tough spot for them to draft because there's just not any players that just match up their needs really well.
Yeah, it's hard to say they need a shooter because I think Brandon Ingram is their 3 really. If they get rid of Zion, maybe a 4. Man, I really like Noah Clowney as a big guy, or Leonard Miller going here to basically shore up their backcourt, or sorry, their front court. If I'm going guard, I would probably take Jordan Hawkins for them as a shooter, like a really pure shooter. But I'm leaning more towards getting another power forward, assuming that they're getting rid of Zion. And I'm going to have to go with Noah Clowney. I think that from what I've watched, he's probably underrated and a little low on people's boards. Also, if the Jazz could get Noah Clowney at 16, I think that would be fantastic. But Noah Clowney from Alabama, I think will fit in perfectly with what New Orleans is doing.
I don't think it's a bad pick.
All right, let's move on. Let's keep it rolling because my phone's dying here. So, Dallin, you're up with
Quinn Snyder's team,
the Atlanta Hawks.
Yes. And Quinn is, what do they need? And what's the best player available? Let's see.
Don't forget, you still got Bryce Sensabaugh, Leonard Miller, Najee, Chris Murray, Derek Whitehead, Maxwell Lewis.
Who's their starting power? Oh, John Collins, yeah. Geez. I think they're shopping John Collins though.
Clint Capella at center. DeJounte Murray.
I would say that he missed to Sacramento. So I'll go with Jordan Hawkins.
Jordan Hawkins.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, I think, because Quinn loves to just shoot the three ball, as we know when he was here in Utah. So to pair Jordan Hawkins with Trae Young and just freaking run it almost like a D'Antoni offense, I think that's probably the best route for them to go. I like the pick. Anybody else have an input?
In the draft, and I think they regret trading Huter to Sacramento, and they want to knock down Jordan Hawkins. Set a pick for him. He's going to be open. Trae Young's going to feed him the ball, and he'll shoot lights out.
Yeah.
Great pick. I think it also gives them some flexibility to move Murray if they want to.
Yeah, to the Jazz, yeah.
All right. With the 16th pick, our true Jazz fan, the one, the only Kevin Berardi. Who are you picking? The Jazz got Anthony Black, fills their point guard need. You've still got some real good shooters on here, maybe to fill a spot for Jordan Clarkson. I would love to fill a spot for Kelly Olynyk. But who do you got, Kevin?
Well, I know who the Jazz are taking if this board falls this way, it's a no-brainer. They have the pick in there faster than you can stand up. They're taking Keontae George. It's not even a question. They love that kid. I don't know.
Why are the Jazz so in love with Keontae George? Because I am not in love with Keontae George.
I don't know. I don't know why they're so in love with him either. And maybe it's just a lot of posturing. Maybe they're not that in love with him, but
yeah,
I don't
here right now is posturing, but
Keontae George is just JC to me. It's JC 2.0.
I think shorter than JC.
Well, I'm not even looking at size. I'm talking just the way he plays the game. Y'all are gonna be.
Keontae George again.
To me, I'm going for more size still. I think Danny Ainge likes size as well.
If Jalen Hutchfield's here, they're taking him. Or Nick.
I don't like Nick Smith.
But don't forget, I already took Anthony Black for the Jazz, so you got to remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Leonard Miller, but
that's where I'm eyeing. I really like Bryce Sensabaugh too. I've kind of been on. I've kind of gotten off the Jet Howard train though. Like he's 6'8" shooter, but I think there's other players that I would rather have than him at this point. Chris Murray, 6'8".
I've never been on the Jet Howard train.
Yeah.
But
Gigi Jackson.
Never, not in a million years. I'm gonna take Nick Smith Jr.
Nick Smith Jr. Dang it, Kevin! Why?
I like his game, and this last year he didn't play so hot. But this kid was projected a top 4 coming into the season for a reason. If you look at his tape last year, he was really good, super solid. He's already got a really good rapport with Black because they come from the same team. I think he's better than the product that he put up this year. And I've done some research into his injury. It's not as big of a deal. It's not as career-ending as a lot of other injuries. It's not that bad. I think he can bounce back. And I think he's a smart player. I really do. And if I'm going to take a shot here at 16, I'd rather take it on him. I don't know. That's just me.
So if the Jazz pick 2 Arkansas point guards, who's going to run the point guard?
That's what I'm saying is I don't think Will Smith cares who the point guard is. He wants to he wants to put 2 guards on the floor that can move the ball and make smart plays, who have size and speed, and both these players have that. I don't think he cares about who's running the point. I think that was his issue with Mike Conley. I think that's when Mike had a hard time in this offense because Mike wanted the ball in his hand all the time and wanted to run the offense. And I don't think that's Will's offense that he wants to run. If you look at the offense that he ran after the Mike trade, I think that's more what we expect to see from him going
I'm going to say that I see Nick is he puts up more shots and more of a shooter than Anthony Black. And Anthony Black's a setup man. So I think Nick Smith's not shy about shooting the ball. But there's the one thing that intrigues me about him is that he was really high in this draft class coming out of high school.
Yeah, if he comes straight out of high school last year, he's drafted in the top 5.
All right. So fair warning, if my phone dies, we're just ending this thing. All right. So I'll just go like this. But let's keep.
Heard of a thing called a charging cable?
Yeah, I've got so many freaking cables plugged in right now that I don't know. So let's keep it moving. On the clock, Ruskin with the LA Lakers. Who are they taking?
So the Lakers failed to get their pick in a lot of amount of time, and they forfeit their pick. So
I would love that.
Quick here.
Sounds like Tim.
I think that in this scenario, as much as it pains me to do it, I mean, they would take Jalen Hood-Schifino. Best player available, fills a massive need for them. It says low, but I mean, D'Angelo Russell wasn't the guy. I don't think he'll be back. I don't think they're getting Chris Paul. They need a point guard. Granted, Hood-Schifino, they need shooting, but again, Hood-Schifino, he is going to get better. He improved after he took over for Xavier Johnson at Indiana. He improved his shooting as the season went on. So I think that he would be a really good fit with what the Lakers need.
Would you consider Sensabaugh here, maybe?
I mean,
I'm not asking you to change your pick, but I'm just curious.
No, maybe, but I think that Sensabaugh, like, you wouldn't really slot him in as a shooting guard. So I mean, he'd be playing small forward, and I just think that I don't know. No, I probably wouldn't.
Okay.
My ideal pick, if I was the Lakers, would be Hawkins, but he, of course, is in the dirty South now. So, but yeah.
I also think there's an outside chance they take Keontae George too.
Yeah. No, I think any of those shooters they could. Best player available.
I like your pick though. I think Schifino's the best pick.
All right, moving on. We got the Miami Heat with the 18th pick. After watching them in the finals against Denver, I think they really need size. I think Adebayo was tired guarding Jokic, and it's going to be interesting if they're able to sign Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent and these undrafted guys, Max Strus. I'm just going, they need size. I'm going Leonard Miller from the G League Ignite. I think
match made in heaven.
Yeah, I think Kevin Love's getting older. I think that him without a bio would be a perfect fit, and they desperately need size. So
Chris Bosh 2.0.
Love that pick. Yep. I love that pick.
Yep.
Okay, we're moving on quickly. Except my freaking computer is going so slow.
This would be a choice for the Golden State Warriors, either between Keontae George and Bryce Sensabaugh, and I'm going to go Keontae George.
Keontae.
Great pick.
Yeah, he would fit in really well with them.
They could get off Jordan Poole if they wanted to.
Yep, I love that pick.
So I'm trying to go fast. So if you guys want to talk more about your pick, you can. I'm just going to get this up on the board. It's going so freaking slow, dude. My MacBook Pro can't handle all this.
Sounds like it's not much of a pro to me.
No, I need to upgrade.
All right. I think we got Houston up next. Who's on the board? Who's on the clock?
Kevin.
Me?
you got another. Is this your second Houston pick? Did you
Who
pick
did I pick?
Cam? Cam Whitmore?
I did pick Cam Whitmore
Yeah,
for them.
you did. Sorry,
So
you have to pick
here-
twice for these guys.
Yeah.
Damn, I think I Bryce Sensabaugh. Wow. Jet Howard, Kobe Buffkin.
So what are we at here? We're at 20. We're at 20.
20th pick. Man, is
I'm
Kobe
gonna go-
Buffkin gonna fall this far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't love Bumpkin there. I'm gonna go with James Najee for
Ooh.
some center depth on him. I think it's a really good pick for them to back up Sengun. I'm not a big Boban fan, but so I'm gonna go Najee here.
Yeah, Sengun's nice, but he's just I think he's a little too slow. Like he's not athletic enough. So
Yeah, I think
People think that he's coach, so
I like Najee here. He's a big, strong guy. He can move, play defense. He can't shoot very well, but I like him here.
I like the pick. Because I don't really know much about him, haven't watched him a ton. So, a player like that going to Houston, what do you got to lose?
I would actually love if he fell to the Jazz at 28. I don't think he will, but the Jazz need a backup center, and I think he would be great.
Yeah.
But he ain't going to fall that far.
no, he's not.
All right. We got Ruskin on the clock with the New Jersey Nets. Or sorry, the Brooklyn Nets. Talks of Damian Lillard possibly getting traded there, that he wants to go there. I don't know how true that is, but who you got here, Ruskin?
Let's see. So I got Joe Harris.
Seth Curry's a free agent. Cam Johnson's a free agent.
I think that they. Man, there's some tough. I didn't think some of these Michigan guys are gonna slide.
Right?
I think Jet Howard. I think that. Again, best player available, but he brings shooting. I think that they're gonna build around Michael Brooklyn Bridges.
Yes, sir.
And I think that they need some shooting, they need some scoring. So I think Jet Howard is the best fit for them.
That's interesting because I think they need a point guard, especially Ben Simmons. What do you see them taking Buffkin because of that?
They got 22 also. They're back to back, so
they can take both.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. I forgot that.
The thing is they operated their offense without Ben Simmons running it all season. So I think that free agency is gonna. I think they can find someone to run the offense. I think they can find a distributor. They need scoring, and Jet Howard can score.
Yep, I love it.
All right, well, I'm going to go with Kobe Buffkin then, because that was my thought, taking it 21st. I'm the 22nd. I think that gives them a really good point guard that I know has been rising. I don't know. That would surprise me if Buffkin falls to the 22nd pick, but I'm kind of with you. I'm going to take the best player available. I think Buffkin. Maybe they take Rayon Rupert, but I would go Buffkin. I think he's more of a sure thing.
Yep.
So, Dallin, we're moving on to you. The 23rd pick in the 2023 NBA draft is the Portland Trailblazers. They already picked Brandon Miller with the 3rd pick. Who are you taking?
If they keep this pick, which I could see them moving it, they would want experienced guys ready to play along Damian Lillard. And the most experienced guy on the board right now is either Chris Murray or Colby Jones. And I would go, since they took Brandon Miller, I'll go, let's go Colby Jones.
Colby Jones from Xavier, 6'5" shooting guard. Why?
He's a junior and he's more ready to play than some freshmen. So he's a good all around. I haven't watched too much of him, but he would be a good player just to come off the bench and play good wing minutes for them.
All right, we're moving on to the 24th pick by Kevin. We've got the Sacramento Kings, who had a great season. What piece do they need to try and get them to beat some of the elites in the West?
I think that they're in a team that's in a great position to really draft a high ceiling guy, and I think Ray Rupert's that guy. I don't think they need to add some immediate talent right now. So I'm going to say Ray Rupert, because Ray Rupert, I think, could end up being one of the top 10 guys to come out of this draft, potentially if ceiling's that high. He's just really, really raw. The kid's only like barely 18. So,
yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be nice for him to learn behind De'Aaron Fox too. Do you think if the Murray brother is there, they would take Chris to pair with Keegan?
I mean, that's what I was kind of thinking. I was kind of thinking about that, but I think from a franchise perspective, I think Ray Rupert could be a really good shooting guard in this league, and I think they'd be kind of crazy to pass on him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that pick. I think that he would be someone that you can take a chance on, especially that late, and being behind De'Aaron Fox and learning from him. I think that the Memphis Grizzlies, with the not long enough ban or suspension on Ja Morant, I saw reports that say it's going to cost them $50 million. Well, should have cost them the whole year, in my opinion. But what is Memphis going to do? Are they going for a point guard? Are they keeping Ja? Obviously, Dylan Brooks is probably out of there. What do you think?
I think they're confident enough in their backup point guard situation.
With Tyus
I don't
Jones?
think you want to. Yeah, I don't think you want to invest in a point guard. I mean, Ja's going to get his act together. But no, I think Dylan Brooks is gone. Good riddance. And so they're going to be looking somebody who can replace him kind of a little bit now and in the long run too. But I think when you're looking at who's on the board right now, I think that probably, sorry, my computer's being slow here now too.
You're fine.
That's why I'm just talking to try to get it to, I don't know if my internet, can you guys even hear me still?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I think it would probably be Olivier Maxence Prosper from Marquette. He's a shutdown defender, which really complements the rest of their kind of wing guys not being great defenders. But he can shoot. He's a solid shooter. And he needs to get better to maximize that. But I think that his fit, Brooks was kind of one of their better defenders. So I think that they need to replace that on the wing. And Prosper being I think he was a senior, wasn't he?
Junior.
Yeah.
I mean, being older, more established, I think he's going to be able to step in quicker. The offense will come over time, but I think defensively he's ready to play.
Interesting pick. I like it. I don't know much about Prosper. I was looking kind of at like the 6'7", 6'8" Chris Murray or Derek Whitehead, but knowing that he's a defensive player, I think that's a stellar pickup for them.
Yeah, I was thinking Maxwell Lewis would be a great replacement.
I was looking at him too, yeah.
But I love your pick too. I really do like him a lot. So
yeah, it was tough. Like, there's a lot of good shooters. I mean, Derek Whitehead and stuff, but he's not a good defender. And I don't think that they need. I think that they need to replace that because Steven Adams is getting old. He can't have guys driving on him all the time.
No, great pick.
All right, so I'm on the clock with Indiana Pacers. They took Taylor Hendricks with the 7th pick. I can't believe Bryce Sensabaugh is still on the board. You got to take him if he's there. I love Bryce Sensabaugh. So Bryce Sensabaugh to Indiana, I think they would be freaking thrilled if he fell that far to them. 6'5", 235. I just think he's an NBA-ready type player at 19 years old. So moving on to
heartbreaking he fell that far, but good fit.
yeah, it's like, man, I don't think he'll fall that far. So we're moving on to Dallin with the 27th pick, right before aren't the Jazz 28th, right?
Yeah.
So they could break the Jazz's heart. So don't let your Jazz fandom get in the way of this pick. But 27th pick, Charlotte Hornets have already picked up Scoot at 2. Who are you taking for the Hornets?
It's between Chris Murray, Derek Whitehead, and well, I like Jamie Jazzketball and Maxwell Lewis. They need, unrestricted. They just need athletic wings to replace those guys. So let's go with, I think, Maxwell Lewis.
Maxwell Lewis out of Pepperdine. I like it. And Kelly Oubre is probably, well, he's an unrestricted free agent. PJ Washington. So their team could look completely different. I like that pick.
Who do we take, Maxwell Lewis?
Maxwell Lewis, the Charlotte Hornets. And that leaves Kevin for the last Jazz pick of the night. And I actually think we should end on this one because we're all Jazz fans. I know Ruskin's a real Jazz fan, probably the biggest one out of all of us. So this is the one we're ending on, Kevin. So feel free to take your time. We've already got Anthony Black and Nesmith Jr., 2 Arkansas point guards. What else do we need? We don't need another point guard.
Let's go with the trifecta and go with Jordan Walsh.
Jordan Walsh, yeah, baby.
I'm totally joking.
I actually wouldn't be mad about that. I think Jordan Walsh is probably going to go too low.
I think it's a tough place to be. There's a lot of really good talent on the board. I'm definitely not going GG Jackson. I'll tell you that much right now. I think you have to go Whitehead. I think Whitehead's a steal at 28. I think he doesn't. If he doesn't have that foot injury, he's in the lottery. And
both those players, they were supposed to be top 5.
Yeah, Whitehead and Nick Smith.
Yeah.
I love Whitehead's release. I love his shot. It's really clean. If he can get his foot right, I love this kid. And not only that, I think he's an underrated passer too. So I think it fits that mold of big, long players who have a high basketball IQ, who can move the ball and shoot the ball. I think he fits really well with what the Jazz are trying to do. And I think if you can get Derek Whitehead at 28, you have to go home screaming and just be glad you played.
I think
so. As Jazz fans, is it a concern to you guys that all 3 of their picks in our mock draft were guard, like point guard, shooting guard? Is that as big of a need, or do they need any front court players, or is backcourt kind of the
back Kelly Olynyk?
Yeah, I think we need guards, more talent at the guard, especially if Jordan Clarkson leaves. So I think we're more solid with Lowry and Kessler, and then like Damian Jones as a backup isn't terrible, but yeah, I'm okay taking that many guards because I don't think all 3 of them are going to hit, most likely.
Exactly.
So
and I think you also have Anthony Black or Whitehead. They can play small forward, and play the wing.
Yeah.
I think they can play the wing, and so I think there's a little bit of fluctuation there. If for some reason we find out Anthony Black can't move the ball as well, but still has that high basketball IQ and can hit his shot, he could be a small forward in this league. I see I see Whitehead as more of a small forward than a shooting guard anyways. But honestly, like, the NBA is becoming very positionless, in my opinion. Like, you got your bigs, and you got your guards. Like, I don't key to the position, and I think I'd rather have big, long guards that can switch on defense and play team defense, personally. And if they hit some of our guards that we still have, like, we still have, what's his name, coming off the bench. God dang it, my brain is broken today.
And we got so many point guards. You got Colin Sexton, THT, Chris Dunn. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think if we weren't to go guard, I really love Trace Jackson Davis. I know that he's a senior out of Indiana, but dude, he's so smart, and he would be the perfect person to fill in for Kelly Olynyk's spot. Like, he would be one that's ready to go.
My problem with Trace Jackson is he's not a floor spacer.
And he doesn't.
I was gonna say, don't count on him to be shooting threes for you.
Yeah, he's not a floor spacer, and I think if you don't have if you're gonna play Laurie at the 3, you have to have a floor spacing 4, and that's where Kelly's so important. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, it is tough. I don't know that the Jazz make all these picks.
Yeah,
because you're right. It's very guard heavy,
Right.
and we are a very guard heavy team. But you know, if THT opts in, we can move him as an expiring contract. You know, Colin Sexton, I still think is very big out there for trade potential. There's a lot of trade value for him too.
Yeah, he has a contract with multiple years. So
Yeah, Chris Dunn, we haven't guaranteed any money. If we like what we have in the draft, we can walk away from him pretty easy. So, which I don't think we will, because we're hardly paying him anything, and he did so well for us. So.
Yeah, I think Chris is actually going to be the starting point guard this season, and then depending on who pans out, then he'll be the backup. But I don't know, because it's just crazy because THT and Sexton could become starters. I think it's healthy for the Jazz to have 3 point guards competing for that spot. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead.
We really do need some front court depth. I didn't realize how thin we were.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking we were deeper than this, but I guess in my mind, we've got Kelly Olynyk. I just don't know that he's on our team next year. I think he gets traded before the draft.
Yeah.
I think he's part of a trade draft.
I think that there's going to be a ton of movement because a lot of teams, the Lakers don't know who's on their team. There's all these talks of Damian Lillard moving. So I think there's going to be a lot of action on draft night, which is Thursday night. I can't believe it's almost here. I feel like I've watched every mock draft there is out there, and I'm just ready for it to happen. So I appreciate you guys coming on here. This was super fun. And Dallin, are you going to be in Utah on draft night?
I'm pretty sure I am.
You guys want to go down to the arena or do a live cast?
Well, maybe we should do a live cast. Maybe I won't go because if it's Thursday, I was thinking it was Friday for some reason. So
yeah, it's Thursday.
So yeah, I think what we'll do is I'll be there for 4th of July. So
okay,
we'll just do live cast. I'm good with that.
We'll talk about it. All right. Well, Ruskin, thanks for joining. Kevin, thanks for joining. And go Jazz.